Welcome to Your Next Stop. This is Juliette Hahn. I am a wife, mom, virtual coach, public speaker, and crazy obsessed dog lover. I am so honored to be able to take you into the life of someone that has followed a passion. Every week, I hope you are as inspired as I am. Welcome to Your Next Stop.
So welcome to Your Next Stop. My next guest is another one of my Clubhouse faves, Vee Maddox. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing so good today, Juliette. Thank you. Very, very happy and excited to be here.
I'm excited. I'm excited to jump into this. You are the CEO and founder of Vee Maddox Consulting LLC, so I can't wait to dive into that. But first, I would love to hear your quote.
So actually, I have three quotes, and it was hard to choose, so I'm going to tell you my favorite. Where did I do with it?
Okay. Perfect. No
let me
worries.
pull it up real quick. Let's see. So my favorite of the three is from Anita Hill.
Love
Every
it.
great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have wit. I did what my conscience told me to do, and you can't fail if you do that.
I love it. Oh my God, that's so good. Okay, so mine is do what makes you happy and lights your soul on fire. Laugh as much as you breathe.
Oh my God, that's my new favorite. That's my new favorite. Absolutely.
That's actually mine. And so I
Okay.
kind of have there's a bunch of different quotes and I pull from all of them and I'm like, those are like my soul. Because it's so important to laugh every day. And it's important to do what lights your soul on fire. So I'm excited to jump into this episode. Okay. So Vee, please tell us how you started your consulting company, what lit your soul on fire to do this, and give us a little bit of your history to start, please.
So I'm going to go back to age 13, right?
Love it.
Age 13 is when I got my first real job I grew up in Washington, D.C., so we had a summer youth employment program. That's what I grew up with. My first job, I was a tutor for math and English for little kids.
Wow. At 13, I love it.
At 13. And what I realized quickly at 13 was that there was no way I was going to be working for anyone else the rest of my life. So that's when I first realized it. So
I got
let's
the chills.
fast.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So young age, I knew it, but I didn't know what that meant. Right.
Right.
So,
But the fact that you were so in tune with yourself and knew. I mean, I love that you did that. And then it was like, you know what? I have a feeling. I don't know what it is, but that's awesome that you were that aware. So, okay, continue. Go ahead.
I had a feeling, right? So fast forward, I'm working for an international Fortune 50 company, huge job, huge team. I mean, balling, right?
Right. Yeah.
And I was there for nearly 4 years. I ran their international training and development HR program for professional services. Huge deal, right? So almost 4 years in, they decided that they wanted to acquire a bunch of companies. So we all kind of know what happens when a company wants to acquire other companies. What do? They get rid of people.
Right. Right.
Okay, they get rid of people. So they came through and they wiped out the entire division. So I was the last person, one of the last people to leave to turn off the lights. And so I sat in my deluxe cube with a window, and I thought to myself, how in the world does this happen to people? And by the way, folks, a week before Thanksgiving, to make it worse. All right. So I thought to myself, well, I don't want this to happen to me again. I don't want this to happen to anyone again, particularly women, because we always get the brunt of these things, all right? Disproportionately. So I sat in that extra large cube with the window and I started Vee Maddox Consulting LLC. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, Juliette, but I knew I could not let this situation happen again.
Oh my gosh! So I have to I have to pause you because I got the chills again. That's the second time I got the chills, and we're 5 minutes in. So okay, so can you tell me though, where in your life were you? Were you married with children? Were you? This is before kids. Like, so can you give us a little bit of that background so we can kind of just picture where you were in life?
Yeah, this was 2010, and I was married with children. They were babies. They were babies in school. I mean, my husband and I both worked outside the home, and we had to get help. We had to get daycare for our kids, which almost bankrupted us. And so we had to work, right? And so when I started the company, I knew exactly what I wanted to do, but I made the mistake of asking people their opinions. Right. I should have never done that. I should have never done that. I should have just gone with my gut, my intuition. That's why your quote gave me chills. Okay, because great. I swear by my intuition, and whenever I don't go with my intuition, I fail.
Right.
Every time.
Okay. Right.
So, yeah. So, started the company, started, consulting, and, hey, I had to get another job. So I'm working full time and building a business, and I'm a mom and I'm a wife, right?
Right. It's a lot.
And I'm also a community leader. So I'm doing a whole lot of stuff, right? Fast forward, I get my first contract.
Okay.
And it was a small one, but it was good. And after that first contract, Juliet, I was like, I can't work for anybody else. 13-year-old me came back.
Love it. Love it.
So, rest is history.
Okay, so what was the consulting? So what was your first client? Like, what did you do for them?
So my first client was a small firm, a medium-sized firm, who wanted me to hire some administrative staff and train them after I hired them.
Okay.
So I absolutely adored it. And we're still friends till this day, those folks that hired me for my first deal.
Well, I mean, that has to be, that has to be I mean, first of all, that you're like, okay, they trust what I'm doing. And then the fact that you probably were like, okay, and I love what you said, 13-year-old came back. Again, I got the chills. Third time I got the chills. 13-year-old you came back. And that's what's so important. And this is why I wanted you to go a little bit more in detail, because there's women out there listening that are in the same spot that you were in, right? But they don't have the balls to go and do it. For whatever reason, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to start. And there's one thing, I'm actually starting a workshop. By this time this comes out, the workshop will be up and running. And it's just to do that. It's for that person out there that wants a little bit more but doesn't know what to do. Or they have a job that they really hate, but they're doing it because they need the income. But they have ideas. Maybe they wanted to start a blog. Maybe they had a product that they want to start. Maybe they had an app idea, but they think, who am I to do it? So I love that you talked about your intuition. Right. And your intuition, because that is so important. So important. Okay. So that was your first thing.
I want to add a couple things to how I started. Intuition, ballsy confidence. I wasn't scared of nothing. Still not scared of nothing. Okay. And the drive to know that all of those companies that I worked for the last 30 years, they taught me well. They really did. Some of them were the worst low-down sharks on this planet. But what I did with the low-down sharks is that I took the good that they taught me and used it and paid it forward. But let me tell you, some of these people will sell their grandmother on a corner. I'm here to tell you. All right? They don't care. Money is all they think about. But so I decided to take the good of what they taught me and move forward. So I encourage women, ladies, go for it. Stop overthinking it. Stop overanalyzing it. It's never going to be perfect. You gotta launch. You just gotta do it.
And I love that you said that. It's never going to be perfect. There's never a perfect time. Never a perfect time. It's always scary. And this is what I talk about. If it doesn't scare you, it doesn't change you.
I was terrified.
Right? You wake up in the middle of the night. Yep.
Yes. I didn't sleep for months, right? But here's the thing. That first contract I got, I didn't market. I'm a social media consultant. I do my own social media. So I just started talking to people. And it came from word of mouth. I haven't marketed since I started my company, to be honest with you.
I love that.
So we have to find our own strength. What's good for me is not good for Juliet, right? But we cannot overanalyze and make excuses. Vanessa, well, the dog died and the fish threw up and the cat ran away, so I can't do it this week. Yes, you can.
Right.
Yes, you can.
And that's the thing. Even though you had those months where you were scared, the payback is tenfold, right? Because now you go to sleep and you love what you're doing and you have a good night's sleep and you wake up and your children see that you followed a passion and a fire. Your husband sees, I can count on this woman. I can count. And that's what the thing is. So you might be scared, but it doesn't matter because it's all going to pay back. And there's going to be times where you failed. I remember, and I don't know if you were in the clubhouse room with me when I talked about when I started this podcast. So I started this podcast as Next Up Crazy Town to help women get out of their crazy worlds. I was all personal journals. I told stories because funny stuff happens to me, just like random funny stuff. So I was like, you know what? I need to share this. I can get people laughing. And that was my goal. And it was funny because my kids and my husband said, oh, that's nice. You want to start a podcast. Do you know how to start a podcast? And I said, no, but I'm going to do it. I got on Google and I didn't know anyone that had a podcast. I got on Google and I did it. And the one thing I knew is that editing, I tried to edit a little bit and I was like, oh, I'm not good at that. Like that's not going to light me on fire. I don't like that. So I am going to figure this out, right? So I hired an editor with the little money that I had, and I was like, this is what I want this vision to be. And from there, it has now developed into Your Next Stop, where I am interviewing each week, twice a week now, a woman. And it's going to morph into men because men also, you know what, they have dreams and they get stuck in their job because sometimes they're the breadwinner and they don't know what to do and they're miserable, but they have things that they want to do. I want to help all of those people, but it started with, I want to help women get unstuck and just do it. So I literally said to myself, I'm making this podcast work. I'm not going to stop. Even when it gets hard, even if I don't have anything to talk about, I will make something happen. And that's the other thing. So I just recorded my 100th episode. Okay.
Awesome.
Right? Which is crazy. And I learned, I didn't know this. Everyone's like, Juliet, that is a huge milestone. A lot of people start milestone. Right? Yes. And a lot of people start podcasts and then stop, and that's fine if they want to do that. But that was not happening. When I start something and I say I'm going to start something, I continue it. Now, there's also a time where something might just be the end, right? So like you worked it, you did it, you loved it, but then it has come to an end. And there's a very difference between quitting and knowing something has come to an end. And I think that's a very important thing for people to understand. And I see you shaking your head, so I know you have something to comment on that about. Yeah, so give us a little.
I do indeed. So in 2009, we lost my sister Valerie. She was the oldest of us. It was 5 of us. All of a sudden from heart disease, unfortunately. And you know how some people deal with grief differently than others. Well, my cousin and I decided that we weren't going to die with her. We were going to honor her by creating a community for women. So we created the Girlfriend Group, global community for women. And it just started out as a tribute to my sister. It wasn't anything but that. But guess what? We ended up with 3,500 women around the globe that joined this community. And we had everything in it. We had an employment committee. We had mastermind groups. We had a speaker series. We had an education series. We had mentoring for young girls. And we ran it from 2009 to 2015. And I kept it alive a little bit too long.
Okay.
It should have ended 2 years prior to when it did. But I felt guilty because it was for my sister. Like, what if I end this? What's Valerie going to think? She's looking down at me. And that wasn't it. That was just an excuse. I should have ended it. But we changed the world with that group.
I love it.
I'm still benefiting from it, and we closed it in 2015. So once again, don't be afraid to start. Just start it And don't listen to the naysayers, because when you're an entrepreneur, your brain works differently from everyone else. It just does. And you're crazy, you're a go-getter, you fail every day. I fail every day. Every day. I don't care, but I do. Yeah. So I'm here to tell people, you just got to get it in your gut and go for it.
I love it.
Stay tuned for a quick message from my sponsor.
Hi, my name is Shari Hodis, and I'm the president of Aura Limited, a proud all-women-owned brand marketing and global sourcing agency. Simply put, we provide fashion-forward swag for any and all of your branding needs. Please visit us at www.auralimitedspelledout.com.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about your consulting company. What do you do? So there's people out there that are listening like, I think I need a consulting company, or they've had it in their mind, or they need to work with someone. So give us a little bit about what you do, and then tell us where people can find you also.
So Vee Maddox Consulting LLC is a recruiting and staffing firm. Also, we specialize in training and development and social media education. Okay, so, but our main bread and butter is recruiting and staffing. Now, I can recruit anyone from a janitor to a CEO and everybody in between. But my sweet spots are HR recruiting, federal, state, local, project management, and particularly veterans. And veterans that are transitioning out of the military into civilian life. They need a lot of stuff when they're coming out. Yes. And it's not always being provided to them by the military entities. So I pay close attention to what veterans need and help them get hired, get employed. To augment what I do in my company, I've run a online employment community for free for the last 11 years. It's called #GetHired on Facebook. So everything that I do, I consider myself an employment activist.
Yes, all right? I love that.
And I am here to disrupt the job market and make it work for people. Nobody's paying attention to this stuff, right? Who do you know that's an employment activist? Me, okay? I'm the only one that I know of. So I have unconventional methods that I employ with job seekers to help them get hired. And they work. And people don't like it. Oh, Vanessa, that sounds weird. I don't want to do that. Okay, well, you don't want a job. Come back to me when you're ready. I don't play with people, because I've been in these situations where I was laid off, couldn't find a job for 7, 8, 9 months. There was nobody like me to help me. So I decided to do it. So I encourage you, if you're on the job market right now and you don't know where to start, you've been in your last job for 15 years, you're suddenly turned out due to COVID. What do? You call me up and we can work together, because there are certain things that I can teach you and show you what to do to get to that hidden job market. All right?
I love
it. So it feeds my soul. This is why I was put here on this planet, and I know that now. So, yeah.
And you can hear. But you could hear it. You could hear the passion. I mean, you could hear that you are like, this is what you do. So my dad's a veteran. So thank you so much for doing that because it's so true. You put them out in the world, and it's like they were in such. I mean, I can't even imagine being in war and then coming back to. I mean, it's just my brain does not comprehend it. I just cannot understand it. So if someone right now is listening and they are like, uncle, they're a veteran, their uncle, they just came out of the war, they would contact you, and then you would work with them to help them get to jobs. So please tell us how they can contact you.
So they can contact me through VRMaddox.com is my web address. I'm all over social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, VRM Consulting on those channels. But my website is the best way to get me, www.vrmaddox.com. Scroll down to the Contact Us section, leave me a message, and I have a standard to respond within 24 hours to anyone that contacts me. So I've been holding that standard for years, and I believe in it. So reach out to me, folks.
I love it. And Maddox is Maddox, correct?
That's correct. VRMaddox.com.
Okay, great. Perfect. Okay. So I just love this. Can you give us any of your you told us what your favorite, but is there, because you work obviously with corporations, but individual people as well. Do I have that right?
That is correct. So individual job seekers and companies and entities and nonprofits as well.
Great. And you do that so that's global. It's all over, or is it
That's
just
global? Yes, global. I'm a 100% global remote company. No office buildings.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so and how many years have you been doing this now?
Oh my God.
I think you told us, but just remind me.
Total 30 years.
You know what? I'm so happy that we did this today.
Yes.
Because my kids, both of our kids are off, and I said I was going to reschedule, but then I was like, you know what? No, I want to get Vee on because I was in a room with you, and you definitely I was like, this is. She's got some good stuff to say. She's got some good stuff to share, and I love it. So what I've been doing at the end of each episode is I ask people what crazy town means to them.
Well, let me tell you, Juliet, when we met in that room on Clubhouse, and by the way, Clubhouse is my jam, okay?
Right?
I've gotten so many clients from Clubhouse, and I just jumped on in November. Yep. So when I met you in the room that day and I saw Next Stop Crazy Town, I was like, oh, I'm in. Whatever she's doing, I want in. Because the name just jutted out at me. It was original, it was new, it was funky, and I loved it. So what it means to me is that the world is crazy, AF, okay? Yeah. And we are all, too, a little bit crazy. But you can convert that crazy into something to help the world move forward. And that's what it means to me.
Oh my God, I love that so much. And it's funny because when I changed to these interviews and I was thinking, okay, I've had a couple of people on that are big podcasters or big in business. And they're like, can you just explain to me what Crazy Town is? And I was like, well, it's very endearing to me. It's my energy, my family, my dogs, my husband, my sisters. I grew up with five. There's 5 of us. Just wow. The energy of life. And so that's Crazy Town to me. And they said, okay, I love that. However, it doesn't speak to what what you're doing now anymore with your podcast. And so I sought a lot of help about, okay, should I change it? Does it make sense? So it did. Well, the name is now Your Next Stop, but I always will have Crazy Town part of it. So at the end of each episode, it's always, what does Crazy Town mean? Because I know, to me, it's so endearing. And just like you said, you saw that and you were like, I need to be a part of that. What is that? So I love that. So thank you so much for jumping on and sharing your story. And is there anything else you want to add? Anything else in closing? Any other words of wisdom?
I just want to add that find a way to eliminate the fear. Find a way to eliminate the fear and surround yourself with people that are doing what you want to do in the future and hang with them, okay? Iron sharpens iron, eagles hang with eagles. Let's get it done. That's it.
Love it. I love it. Oh my gosh, Vee, thank you so much for joining. Guys, if you liked what you hear, please share, subscribe to the channel, because you guys, every week, twice a week now, Monday and Wednesday, I have someone on like Vee that is just telling you how it is, telling you to get out of underneath yourself. Don't let you stand in the way. You have to do something you have one life. Might as well, right? You might as well live it to the fullest.
Go for it.
I love it. So thank you guys for listening. And again, share, rate, subscribe, get this podcast out there, and go follow Vee. And if you know of anyone that needs consulting, you guys know where to go, because she is no BS. She's going to tell you how it is, and she's going to get you a job.
Absolutely. Thank you, Juliet.
Thank you so much, Vee. I really appreciate it.
I hope you liked this episode of Your Next Stop. Please subscribe to my channel, share with your friends, and join in each week.